All right, good evening, everyone. How you all doing? All right, so we're getting ready for a fun Muskie chat this evening. Just a couple of house rules. If you guys have a question, you can type it in one of two places, preferably in the Q&A box. So you can type those throughout our entire evening with Henry tonight. So any questions you have, as soon as they come up, type them in there so you don't forget them, and we'll get to them later after his presentation. If you guys just need to chat or have a few questions, you can also use the chat feature of this webinar. So whichever one's easiest for you, I'll be checking both. If you have specific questions that you don't want to know, you can check the anonymous box, and we'll make sure we just read the question for you if there's any private information you have. But other than that, my name is Evan Herbert. We're really excited for this Muskie chat this evening. This is going to be one of many, so make sure you're checking your Road to Xavier site for more to follow with a bunch of information throughout the year. But we're excited. I'm going to have Henry fully introduce himself, and we'll get started.
Thanks, Evan. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here. My name is Henry Saas. I'm the Bursar at Xavier. Bursar simply means treasurer. I really take a look at myself and say I'm more of a business manager than I am a treasurer. But if you think about a bank branch, if you go into the bank to make a deposit or to cash a check, the Bursar's office is very much like that. Our job really is to produce the bills and to process payments. We also manage the repayment of the federal Perkins loan as well as the Shell Honor loan. So we do an awful lot of front-end customer service. If you have questions about really anything, Xavier, you can call or stop by or email our office, and we'll direct you to the right place if we aren't the place you need to be. So I'm going to talk pretty fast about a lot of things. So if you have pencil and paper, this might be helpful, or if you're a fast typer, which everybody is faster than I am anyway, you can go ahead and type these things up. One of the first things I want to talk about is something called FERPA. And you'll learn in college, probably not unlike so many other things that you might do in life, there are a lot of acronyms. And FERPA stands for the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. The federal government says that since you are going to be now on campus, when you do arrive on campus, you have a right to your privacy. And it doesn't matter if you are 16, 17, 18, as soon as you come to campus, you have matriculated or come over to the other side, to the dark side of college, and your privacy is your business. So the FERPA form, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, talks about you giving rights or giving permission to the people whom you want to have access to your information. So if you want your mom or your dad or both or grandparents or your brother or sister to have access to your Bursar account information, then you want to fill out the FERPA form and list their name and their relationship to you, and then sign it. The FERPA form that you'll find online is really Part A and Part B, and you'll just complete Part A. And you'll sign it, print your name, put your student ID number and the date. And we will be sure then that when the person listed on that form calls in, stops in, or emails us, we'll be able to give them that information. FERPA also transfers over, but you have to do this, to our e-payment site, our electronic payment site, which is done online. You will eventually become very familiar with this, and you can add anybody you want as an authorized user. And once you add them as an authorized user, they will get their own username, their own password, and they will have their own login credentials so that they can take a look at your Bursar account, look at your bill, make online payments. And if you have somebody in your life who's going to be making online payments, you want to make sure that they're an authorized user because they're going to be helping you out a lot. You can take a look at recent payments. You can sign up for a payment plan, all on this e-payment site. So FERPA and authorized user, two separate events that you'll need to do. And they provide us the flexibility of talking with the people you have listed about your account. So if there is something that might be a little bit more time consuming to deal with, but you don't have the time, your authorized user can contact us. We're happy to help them. Now I want to talk about basically the regularity at the Bursar's office with which we publish electronic bills. And the reason I say publish, we don't mail hard copy paper bills. We publish an e-bill, an electronic bill. So in order to get your bill, you would have to log in using your username and password that'll be given to you if you don't already have it, and you would be able to see your bill. When we publish a bill, an email automatically goes out to you and to any authorized user saying a bill has been published, you can go online and view it. So we publish a bill, you get the email, your authorized users get the email, you can go in and take a look at the bill. We bill around the 15th of every month. If the 15th falls on a weekend or a holiday Monday, it's going to be brought back to the last business day, the earlier business day. And the due date is going to be 2 weeks later on the following 1st of the month. So I'm going to do a scenario here for the fall semester coming up in 16. We will publish our first bill for the fall semester on July 15th. And the due date will be August 1st. We'll publish again on August 15th. And the due date for that one will be September 1st. And we do that every single month. The July bill and the August bill are going to reflect the most transactions. It will also reflect the largest dollar amounts because this happens to be the beginning of the semester. The December bill will be exactly the same from the standpoint of large dollar amounts because that is the first bill for the spring semester. So we publish about the 15th of the month. The payment is due on the 1st of the next month. If you don't pay or your account is not current, and I'll go into that in a minute, a late fee is assessed on the 14th of the month, right before we publish the next bill. So we bill on the 15th, it's due on the 1st, we put a late fee on the 14th, and on the 15th, we publish the next bill. There are really two ways to pay. So when you get a bill and you see that there's a balance due, there are two ways you can pay. The first is to pay in full. So you get the bill July 15th, you take a look at it, you see what the balance due is, and the bill will show charges and any financial aid that will be coming if you have financial aid, and then what the balance due is. You can pay in full, and you can pay in full by the 1st, on or before the 1st of August. If you don't pay on the 1st of August, on or before, then you want to certainly pay before the 13th of August because we'll assess a late fee on the 14th. The second way to pay is by using the XFlex payment plan. In July, the very beginning of July, we're going to, well, it might even be towards the latter part of June. We're going to be assessing the charges, putting the charges onto your account. The best time to sign up for a payment plan is right after those charges go onto the account, because the XFlex payment plan takes the balance due and divides it by 4. There's a $50 enrollment fee each semester to get onto the payment plan. And then the payment plan for the fall semester runs with a payment on August 1st, September 1st, October 1st, and November 1st. Likewise, for the next spring semester, the next semester after fall, the charges will go on sort of mid to late November. The bill will be produced December 15th, and then the payment will be due January 1st. So you'll want to sign up for the payment plan for the spring semester after the charges go on in November, beginning of December, so that you get that payment plan set up so that when we send you a bill, everything is in place and you can make 1/4 of your payment by January 1st. And that payment plan runs January, February, March, and April 1st of every month. Again, $50 to get into that plan. Keep in mind that if you are a payment in full plan person, meaning that you're going to pay your tuition and fees in full come August 1st, you might have some miscellaneous charges that trickle on after that payment is made. So for instance, we publish a bill on July 15th, you pay it on August 1st in full, but on August 5th, well, let me extend that a little bit further. After you're here on campus around the end of August, you might have to go to the health center and have a strep test on your throat because you have a sore throat. They can charge that to the Bursar account, so that charge will show up on your next bill. So just because you paid it in full this month back here on August 1st doesn't mean you might not have miscellaneous charges in subsequent months. It's really no different than a MasterCard or a Visa credit card bill. The bill is going to reflect my behavior, and just because I pay my bill in full on the due date now doesn't mean I can ignore the rest of the bills, because there might be something else I did in the way of putting a charge on, either having it done automatically or doing it myself by going into a store. So you always want to take a look at your bill. One of the things that I'm passionate about is helping you to grow into somebody different after you leave Xavier. So when you come in at 18, I certainly hope you're going to be different when you get out at 22. So we have 4 years, you have 4 years, we have 4 years to partner, so that at the end of 4 years, you know what a bill is, you know when a bill is published, you know when the due date is, you know when a late fee is going to be assessed, you know how to make that payment, and you know then how to build your credit, because credit is really a reflection of your character. And it also gives you great opportunities in the future to get some of the things that you might need or want to have. I'm not a proponent of debt. I always say try and live debt-free. I am a proponent of using credit cards intentionally, using credit cards with a focus of building your credit rating and developing your character and playing the credit game on your terms, not them playing credit games on their terms, the credit card companies. So just being responsible with credit and credit cards and your bill at Xavier, it's all great practice for you as you continue to mature. One of the things that you'll see in your fall semester bill, unless I can get this changed, and I hope to get it changed, but I don't know if it's going to happen that fast, and that is a mandatory health insurance charge. Every fall semester, the McGrath Health and Wellness Center, which is the health and wellness center on campus, they put a mandatory charge on the fall semester bill. And what that is, it's an insurance premium that pays for a major medical health insurance plan that runs for 1 year, from about August 15th of 16 until August 14 of 17. This really is for students who have no other major medical health insurance plan, and they need the coverage. So the health center works with Aetna Health Insurance, and they put on this premium. This last year it was about $2,100, just over that. And the students who do not need it can go online, and typically the website opens up around July 2nd. Go online and enter some information off of your health insurance card that you or your parents have, and that fee will get waived. There will come a point in time that if you don't waive it in time, then you're going to be charged a fee for waiving it late, and then eventually there'll be no option to waiving it at all, and it's usually a lot of money that if you don't need it, you don't want to have it on your Bursar account. So pay attention is really the point here. If there is a fee to be waived, the bill will show health insurance waiver site. You can just click on that link and go and waive it pretty quick. A lot of people from coming in for their first year have outside scholarships. I'm going to talk about inside and outside scholarships, and some of you may know this from a previous Muskie chat when financial aid spoke. But anything that is specific to Xavier is either considered federal money or it's considered institutional money because it comes from the institution Xavier. An outside scholarship is going to be something a check, money that comes from the Kiwanis, the PTA, Boys and Girls Club. It might be from an employer. It might be from an employer from your parent. It's going to be some amount of money that's coming from an entity outside of Xavier. If you are the beneficiary of some of these checks, that's awesome. That is great. You want as many of those as possible. The entity issuing that check might make the check payable to you, or they might make the check payable to you and to Xavier, or they might make it just to Xavier. So pay attention to how that check is made out, and if it is made out to you and to Xavier, go ahead and endorse the check, and then on the back you can also write, pay to the order of Xavier University. If it's made out just to you, you can do the same thing. The point is, if your name is on the payee line, that it is payable to you or you and Xavier, endorse the back of the check and then mail it into us, and we will get it posted to your account. Some scholarships from the outside also come with a letter that says, enclosed is a scholarship for $1,000, and we want $500 to go on John's account for the fall and $500 for the spring semester, but they only send one check for $1,000. We don't have the capability to take that check and split it, if you will, and save half for the spring semester and process half for the current fall semester. So we're going to go ahead and put the whole $1,000 onto the fall semester. We look at it really as pay now, pay later. It's all good. It's all going to be the same money, but it will reduce your fall semester balance a little bit more than what your spring semester balance would come down as a result of that outside scholarship coming in. So outside scholarships, get them to the bursar's office. Don't send them to the financial aid office, and we'll get them posted to your account. Be sure that there's some identifying mark, whether it's your full name, the last four of your, no, I prefer don't use social security numbers. We do like date of birth, but by that point, you should know your student identification number, and if you can get that on the check or on the letter, that would be a big help. One of the things that I want to talk about is our refund process. I'm going to try and give you a hand signal example here for those of you who are visual learners. I don't do webinars with a lot of heavy PowerPoints because I don't see the point. Because, I mean, why would you want to look at PowerPoint when you can look at moi? I know, forget it. Good thing I can't hear you, but I can hear Evan and I can see Evan. Yikes. So let's talk about in June, mid to end of June, the charges will go onto your account, and this is taking your current balance, your Bursar balance from 0 up to whatever the tuition fees are. Then your financial aid is going to come up. For those of you who are on financial aid, you're going to be receiving financial aid. Financial aid could be federal loans, could be institutional grants and awards and scholarships, could be outside scholarships. Let's say they can come up to here, so you owe more than you have coming in. So this difference is what you need to pay. This is what you can pay in full, or this is what you can sign up for the payment plan and have it divided into 4 payments. So there's no real refund here. Sometimes financial aid, outside scholarships will come like this to the charges. I can't say I've ever really seen it match perfectly penny to penny. But if it does, then there's nothing really to do. That's a happy place to be. But if financial aid and your loans, and they might be Parent Plus loans, it could be alternative loans, and the financial aid exceeds what is owed, then this is called a credit balance or an overpayment. And what we do is we get this back to our customer, which is you. There's one way to get it back, and that is currently we use a company called Hire One, and Hire One has a refund process that we partner with them on, and we will send them this amount that's on your account, and you then will get the money sent from Hire One to you. There is a way that you can do this. When we get closer to the start of the fall semester, Hire One will be contacting you, typically by mail, and they will be sending you a packet that will allow you to go onto the Hire One website, and you go into their site and you get to select one of 3 ways to get your overpayment back. You can have a check sent to you. That, of course, as you know, takes the longest, probably 5 to 7 days, 10 days maybe, for it to come in the mail. The second way is to open up a checking account with Hire One called the One Account. I don't recommend that unless you really don't have another type of bank or banking relationship. The third way is to have it electronically transferred from Hire One to an existing checking or savings account that you have. So you would use this welcoming packet that would come in the mail at before the start of the fall semester. You would go to their website, you would select to have the money electronically transferred to an existing account that you have. You would enter the routing number, account number, and when we do our refund process, we do it weekly. So every Wednesday, we analyze the Bursar accounts. We take a look to see who has that credit balance, and it's actually this way. And then we send it up to Hire One, and Hire One disperses the money out to you, the student. It's a very slick process. It goes very well. We've had really no real issues with it at all. The thing to be careful about, though, and especially if you are either a parent, guardian, or if you are a very responsible student, which I know 100% of you are, if this overpayment is more than you really need, then the ideal thing is to reduce the loans so that you reduce your overpayment. Reduce any type of loans that you got from your financial aid package so that you are borrowing as little as possible. Anything you borrow is going to have to be paid back at some point in time, and anything that has the word loan in it is going to carry interest. It's going to accrue interest over time. So it's really, really important for you to pay attention to the kind of financial aid you're getting. Grants, scholarships, awards, you don't have to pay back. Loans, you have to pay back. I have 3 sons. They are 32 years old. They're triplet boys, but they went to 3 different colleges in 3 different states. All of them had loans. They had these direct Stafford loans from the federal government. And on the unsubsidized loan, and if you don't know the difference between the unsubsidized and the subsidized, I encourage you to just Google it. But the unsubsidized loan, it accrues interest that you are responsible for from the day it's dispersed. On the subsidized loan, I'm explaining a little bit more. The subsidized loan, the government pays the interest while you're in school. But I'm going to focus on the unsubsidized loan. So my sons had an unsubsidized loan each. And when that money was dispersed, it started to accrue interest. As time went on, and this balance was outstanding, it accrued interest. It was 90 days. Every quarter, I would get in the mail, now it's probably done by email, from the Department of Education, a notice that said, your loan has accrued $225 worth of interest over this time period. On that piece of paper, it said, this is not a bill, but it looked like a bill, and it told me that my son didn't have to pay that accrued interest now. They could wait for 4 years or 3 years or 2 years or until their last year for them to get done to pay all of that accrued interest. So what I did is every time I got one of these non-bills, I contacted my son and I said, do you want to pay the accrued interest? Do you want me to pay it? Or do you want to partner and you pay part and I pay part? And I let them make that decision so that when they got out after 8 semesters, after 4 years, they only had to repay the principal on the loan and not the accrued interest. As they were starting to pay that principal, it continued to accrue interest, but their payments now were principal and interest when they were making those payments. So Pay attention to accrued interest, and if you can pay that interest while it's accruing and you don't wait until later on, that's really a good thing. You really want to graduate college with as little debt as possible. Some people pay through 529 plans. 529 plans, it's really a savings account that is set up at an organization, an entity, and people will donate, parents will donate money to the 529 plan, and hopefully over time that money grows. And when it's pulled out of that account and paid to education, it has a lot of tax benefits. So 529 plans, we aren't proactive in that regard to the 529 plan payments. We are reactive, meaning it is up to the account holder to contact their plan and tell the plan to send a check to Xavier University for how much money, and they will send a check, make sure the student's name and student's ID number is on that check, a part of that process, and when we get it, we will go ahead and post it to the student's account. Let's see. Probably one of the dreaded things that students and some parents have is about starting their freshman year. I know it would have been, had I not been working in higher education, it would have been horrible reading 3 sets of information from 3 different colleges. But the learning curve is steep, and there's an awful lot of information to learn. So the number one thing in order to help make your transition to college seamless is to read. Take the time to read. There's going to be so much information, it will seem overwhelming. And I know some people who put that off until the day before school starts, and that's just not the way to make it work. Once you see that there's a bunch of information, set a goal for yourself and read what you need to read to get it all done in a relatively short period of time. All the information is usually good information. It's very informative, but it's at times, I think, trying to learn a second language. There are terms like FERPA that you have to learn, and just learning your way through the higher education process can be a bit challenging and a little scary at that. But don't give up, just read and you're going to be just fine. If you have questions, contact any office here at the university. The people we work with here on campus are extremely helpful, and there is no stupid question. As you transition along and get closer to the start of the fall semester and you decide, yep, Xavier is the place, I'm going there, you know Road to Xavier, eventually you're going to want to transition from Road to Xavier to what we call the Student Hub. The Student Hub is the place, that is the portal into your future here at Xavier. And you will be able to access Canvas, which is the software program where you'll communicate with classmates, with the professor. You'll see a whole bunch of things in there regarding academics. You'll also be able to get into the e-payment site to look at your bill, to make online payments, to sign up for the payment plan. You'll be able to look at the directory for the university if you need help finding something. You'll be able to tap into the library. There's so many icons on that page. Might be, when I say so many, might be a dozen. That'll help to get you into the different places at the university. So be aware that the Road to Xavier is good, but at some point it's not going to be helpful for you to seamlessly transition into the academic real world here at Xavier once you get closer to starting with classes. That transition, I say, stay with Road to Xavier as long as you can. It's a great, great site. But I would start using the Student Hub probably June, July-ish.
I would say as soon as you set foot on campus, but you know.
Yeah, to me, set foot on campus, that's way too late because the bill is out there through the Student Hub, but Evan and I will settle that later.
Well, I will say this. There is a point where we will kick you off Road to Xavier.
Yes, but that's usually September.
And that usually is September.
Right.
So just be aware, but...
Yeah, listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. The Road to Xavier, great information, but eventually it's going to morph into more of a social site, because the student hub is going to become so much more important to you with your day-to-day stuff, and for you to stay up on top of your bill and making payments in your payment plan and that type of thing. Keep in mind that there, I want to go back and talk about these federal loans. The federal loans have, when you get a financial aid award letter, it might say your federal loan, you're going to get $2,500, or you're going to get $3,700 or $3,750. You might see that on your financial aid award letter, and you might calculate that so that you know exactly how much you're going to owe after all the financial aid. But keep in mind that financial aid loans, federal loans, withhold a small percentage for administrative costs. So you, just because it says you're going to get $2,500 in a loan doesn't mean you're going to get $2,500. You're going to get something less. I think this year there were loans for $2,750, and the student received $2,724. So it's not a lot of money, but every dollar counts, and it can throw off your calculations ever so slightly. There's something called federal work study, and if this is a repeat from what Angela may have talked to you about when she did the financial aid Muskie chat, the federal work study is communicated to you through the financial aid office via the financial aid award letter. And just because you have federal work study doesn't mean that that goes to reduce your Bursar account. Federal work study simply means that the financial aid office has selected you to receive the opportunity to get a job on campus that is funded through a federal work study program. You have to get the job, you have to work the job, you've got to get a paycheck, and then with that paycheck, you can bring it into the bursar's office and pay on your Bursar account. There's no pizza. Don't be out doing anything that you shouldn't be doing. You use that money to help pay your bill or whatever really you want to do with it, but that's a conversation you can have with your parents, your guardian, whomever, or with yourself and say, what kind of responsibility or skin in the game do I want to have with regard to my Bursar account? And if I am working, then part of that will go towards the Bursar account, and part of it will go towards my social life. So that's how federal work study works. You will have the opportunity, I think it's the first day of school, to go to the Cintas Center and apply for federal work study jobs. A lot of them on campus. If you don't get a federal work study notification in your financial aid award letter, there are still other jobs on campus you can get, and there are a number of jobs within a 5-minute walk up at University Station, for instance, where you can also try and get employed. Just be sure when you go to this this job fair, the first day of school, dress appropriately, bring your resume, be ready to sell yourself, to market yourself to the offices that are there at the fair. Another thing that's important for you when it comes to the terminology of higher education, the financial aid office will typically talk in terms of an academic year, while the Bursar's office talks in terms, we speak in terms of a semester. So if the financial aid office says, you got a $5,000 grant, we automatically over here say, that's $2,500 a semester. So if you hear $5,000 from financial aid, don't be looking for $5,000 for the fall semester. It's going to be $2,500 and $2,500. So typically, you need to make sure you are speaking, you and your financial aid counselor or you and Bursar's office, we're talking the same language. Or with the admission office, you want to make sure that they're talking academic year versus just a semester. And the best thing to do is ask. If they say $5,000, you're going to get a $5,000 grant. You want to ask them, is that per academic year or per semester or per day? because some of you are worth $5,000 a day. I know. I never was, but Evan is.
Oh, shucks. Thanks.
Yeah. I want to give you a website to go to in case you have to catch up on any of the things I've talked about. There is a beautiful frequently asked question FAQ link out on the Bursar's website. I wrote the questions, I wrote the answers. That's why it's so beautiful. And the questions are not in any specific order because I think it's important for you to take a look at all the questions and see what's out there because it's just a wealth of information. Learn as much as you can now before you even get to Xavier, or no matter what school you go to, start educating yourself now. Go to xavier.edu/Bursar, B-U-R-S-A-R. And you might have to scroll down a little bit, but on the right-hand side, you'll see a frequently asked question link. And then read away. If you can't sleep at night, it's the perfect remedy. I think that's about all I have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else offhand.
Well, I'm sure some of these questions. Oh, you got something. All right, perfect. All right.
One last thing. So this is just a little personal story. Not that anybody really cares, but I can't see you and I can't hear you. So hey, I'm telling the story, okay? In Ohio, which is where I'm from, Cincinnati, when my kids were learning to drive, my family, we were living up in Oxford, Ohio, where another university happens to be a public university, not one that I would necessarily recommend. But it's a small town, Oxford, Ohio. And in Ohio, in order for my sons to drive, they had to log 50 hours of driving, 40 hours during the day, 10 hours at night of supervised driving. Now, for me, a parent of triplets, that means I've got 150 hours to cover in a town that's probably a mile square. That wasn't really fun. So my wife put together a road trip for us, and we went from Oxford, Ohio, all the way out to Phoenix, Arizona, where my kids were born and where we lived for 20 years. And then we came back on a southern route back to Oxford, and then we drove over to the east coast of Boston and came back. All the while, my kids drove. Now, my wife didn't come with us. She was super smart. I was just me and the boys. Great time, and everybody got to drive. They got their way more than their 50 hours each. And along the way, we stopped at 23 different universities throughout the country. And we took tours, we listened to their admission officers, and every single stop we made, the admission officer said, your GPA, your first year, is very important. That is the foundation on which my sons built their successful GPA in their college career, is because they were told so many times to watch their GPA. I have seen students come from high school where they don't have to work very hard, the student doesn't have to work hard, and they get A's. They're top of their class, everything is good. Boy, they're ready to go. But they come to college and the academic rigors are a shock to them, and they don't have the study skills in place. They don't even have the mindset. They spend the whole first semester, if not the first year, trying to wrap their head around what they're going to do, what have they got to do in order to make themselves to be successful. So I'm going to tell you now, and you will be far ahead of anybody else who's going to college, and that is make your first semester count. You are going to be challenged your first semester, your first year. You think peer pressure might be difficult in high school. It can be as difficult, if more difficult, at college. You know, come and do this, join that. And there is a lot of great things that come out of joining different clubs. But be able to say no if you need to say no in order to maintain your GPA. The financial aid office, your parents or guardian, relatives, outside scholarship people, they're investing their money into you. And you want to have some sort of rate of return. If these people are investing all this money and the value goes down because you're not studying and you're leaving a lot of study time on the table and you're doing things that are too social, or you're doing things too much gaming, or you're doing things, whatever it happens to be, then the people really need to stop investing, because that's not a good return on their investment. So take the responsibility for your academic success and start thinking about how you learn best and what boundaries you're going to set, and practice saying no. And you know what? People will like you anyway, and people will look to you as a role model, and you will find that you're going to be able to gather people around you, friends that you're going to meet on campus, and you will work together as wingmen to one another, wing women to one another, wing people, to support one another into this wonderful synergy of moving forward and being successful in your academics, being successful in your social life, being successful in the Xavier community, to be able to give back not only on campus but off campus as well. So be thinking about that. It's not about so much the GPA, that's the result, but it's about learning. How are you going to learn? When you learn, the GPA comes all by itself. One of my sons would say, call me up, and he'd say, how you doing, Dad? I say, great, what are you doing? He'd say, I got a big test tomorrow. I said, well, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to a movie. I said, going to a movie? What are you doing going to a movie? I wouldn't be going to a movie. I'd be studying. Dad, it's the night before a test. If I don't know it now, if I haven't learned it by now, then one more night isn't going to help. And that's what he did. He just amazed me. And the guy is super smart, but he didn't get that from me, let's just say that. That's not how I studied. He learned the material and was able to apply it very easily to the test. So work hard at learning. Figure out how you learn best. And when you get here, do your best at learning. Don't leave any study time or learning on the table. Use it all, and use the resources around you to tap into, so that you win. Because that's a win for you, a win for Xavier, a win for our community, both on campus and off. Okay, I'm done.
All right, perfect. Are you ready for questions?
Ready?
All right, so we've got some good ones here.
I thought I answered everything.
I mean, you probably did, but there's a few people who want to know more information. So no, these are really good questions. So hopefully one of you guys can stump the great Henry Saas, but we'll find out. All right, so we have one. Can the financial aid the aid that you receive change?
I assume everybody heard that. Can the financial aid you receive change? The answer is yes. Remember, I'm not the financial aid office. I'm the Bursar's office. Financial aid is different, but here's what I know about financial aid when it comes to your question. And that is, let's say the financial aid office, I do know what they do is they package you. They call it packaging you. They create a budget. What's the cost of your attendance here at Xavier? And that's tuition, fees, room, board, books, transportation costs based on where you live. I think that's probably pretty much about it. So they say all of that cost equals a certain amount of money. Then they say, okay, let's take a look at the FAFSA, which, as you hopefully know, is the free application for federal student aid. And anybody who wants federal money, and I would dare say institutional money as well, you want to fill out the FAFSA, and they'll take a look at the EFT, the effective family contribution, the need, the financial need, and they will say, okay, we're going to give this person on this budget this amount of money. So they're operating, the financial aid office is operating on the information that they know right now. Well, let's say a $2,000 scholarship comes in from the Rotary Club. That comes into my office. We put it onto your account. The financial aid office learns about it. And because they can't overpackage you, meaning that they can't give you more than what your expenses are through certain tools. Now, if you do have a Parent Plus loan or an alternative loan, that's additional money. That doesn't really, I don't think that gets into the mix so much. But they are going to adjust your financial aid to compensate for that $2,000 outside scholarship. So things can change. If you filled out the FAFSA, for instance, and it said you make $10,000 a year, a certain number of people get selected automatically through the government for something called verification, where you have to verify with using your tax return, not the return itself, but going online and getting the title slips me right now, but it's a tax return, income tax sort of verification, something or other that the government uses to verify what's been put into the FAFSA. If it says the government tells FAFSA that you make $150,000, but you told FAFSA $10,000 because you wanted to get the most financial aid, then that's going to be a problem. Your financial aid package will change, I guarantee you. So the short answer is yes.
All right. What is the late fee on the 14th for the bill payment?
Great question, late fee. And that question is also on our frequently asked questions. It's 1% on the unpaid, on the amount that is past due and unpaid. So I'll give you two scenarios. August 1st, and you're on the payment in full plan, and your intention is to pay the first of every month. To look at your bill every month, and if there's a balance, to pay on the first of the next month that the bill is published. So July 15th, you're going to take a look and you're going to pay your balance in full on the 1st of August. You're going to take a look at your August 15th bill, and if there's a balance due, you're going to pay that on September 1st. And each month, you'll look at the bill and you'll pay any balance that's due. Might be a library fine, might be a parking citation, might be a parking permit, might be, as I said, a strep test or some sort of test at the health center. So if you don't pay on the 1st of each month and you're on the payment in full plan, you have a grace period until the 14th of the month, or it could be as early as the 11th, depending upon when it falls, if there's a weekend or a holiday involved there. But that's going to be at the rate of 1%. So 1% of the amount that is past due and not paid is going to be your entire balance on a pay in full plan. So you get this bill and 1% is going to be the entire balance. I'm going to contrast that with the payment, the 4-payment plan, the XFlex plan. The July bill gets published. The first payment is due on the 1st of August, but it doesn't get paid. So the late fee is assessed on the amount that is past due and unpaid. So that's on 1/4 of the balance. It's not on the whole balance because only 1/4 of it is due August, 1/4 September, 1/4 October, 1/4 November 1st. So if you go unpaid on the 1st of August, I'm going to talk about something here in just a second. If you go unpaid on the 1st of August, and let's say that you could continue to go unpaid until the 1st of September, then the late fee for September would include 2 or half of your balance due, because that's the only amount that's past due. I hope that makes sense. One thing I want to talk about when it comes to the August and sometimes the spring semester, it's really important for you to pay attention to this, and that is we have something called a cancellation process. If your 4-payment plan is not up to date on that August 1st payment, or you have not paid your balance in full August 1st, then you would get a warning email saying that your class registration is subject to cancellation. And I can't say that we have very many that get canceled. I think last year we have about 6,500 students. I think maybe we warned about 1,500. And then there are an awful lot of people on campus working really, really hard to help you and anybody else in your family who needs help with this in getting all of the financial pieces put together. So we cancel very few. And of the few that get canceled, far more than half get things taken care of, and they get put back into their classes or some classes. So the class cancellation thing is going to be something you'd want to watch for. That's sort of the consequences or bad news, if you will, if you let your bill go and you don't take care of things soon enough.
All right. So can international students work on campus facilities for less than 20 hours a week?
International students working less than 20 hours a week on campus. That I don't know for sure. I would really encourage you to contact the Center for International Education. I don't know what their phone number is. Evan might be able to.
If you want to reach out to me at herberte@xavier.edu, I can find the appropriate person to direct you to.
Yeah, there are so many nuances with the international students. I don't want to speak out of turn with that. 20 hours seems like an awful lot to work.
That's more than they would.
I think it's 10. If they're going to put a limit on it, I think you would have to work at least 10.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an international student, but I don't even know if they have a limit on that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about federal work study, though, is you'd have to fill out the FAFSA, and I don't know that you would be capable of or qualified to fill out the FAFSA in order to get federal aid if you're not an American citizen. So that's something to talk to the Center for International Education about as well. We call that the CIE, Center for International Education. You can go to our directory, and there's a department search engine there too if you don't want to talk to Evan. And you can just type in Center for International
You'd be
Education.
surprised how often that works, though. So people don't email me just because you say so.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. So the next question we have is, when do you get your student ID?
Sheesh.
Do you know this?
Student ID, when do you get it? Well, I would probably say you get your student identification number sooner than you get your ID. The ID is going to be given to you during Manresa, which is the freshman orientation program that starts about 3 days or so before the school year begins, before the school semester starts. So I think if school starts on a Monday, Manresa might be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday type of event. And I believe that's when you get your all card, it's called. Some people, just so you know, Banner is our database that we use to maintain all of our student accounts. And so some people might call your student ID number a Banner ID number. They just really mean the same thing. But the all card is your identification card.
All right. Can FERPA and authorized user forms be completed before I arrive on campus in August?
Yes, great question. I love the proactive approach. I encourage you all, be proactive, lead courageously, and take responsibility. You can't go wrong with those three things. You can do all of that early. I wouldn't do it too early, but I would probably say June would be a great time to go to the Bursar's website, xavier.edu/Bursar. And on the left-hand side, there is a link called, I might say, online forms. And you'll see a FERPA form in there. It's a PDF. You can print it out, fill out section A, and then you can scan that, take a picture of it, email it to us, and we'll get that posted to your account. The authorized user aspect, as soon as you have access to the Student Hub, you want to click on the icon called Pay Bill, and that is where you would sign up any authorized user. And yes, the sooner the better. As soon as you get, probably your student ID number is when you're going to be able to hopefully log into the Student Hub using a username and password to get into that hub.
All right.
One other thing I want to say, I talked a little bit about my passion about, I really want you to be different when you get out. This is about growing boys into men and girls into women. So you get to decide what is boy and girl behavior when you come to college and what is woman and man behavior when you come to college. And you might have people here on campus who are, they might be 20 years old, but they're exhibiting boy behavior. There are men my age I know who still exhibit boy behavior. So you get this lesson at no extra cost to talk to you about what kind of man or what kind of woman do you want to be. And the best time to start practicing those traits is in the 4 years that you're here at Xavier. And find people who will challenge you with your values and your morals and the decisions that you make. And find people who will, it talks about iron sharpens iron. You want to find good friends who are going to challenge you to be the best that you can be and to make good, healthy decisions so that when you look back on the 4 years that will have flown by, believe it or not, you say, I had the best time in my life during those 4 years at college. The best time doesn't always mean in a drunken stupor. It doesn't always mean socializing. It doesn't always mean not doing homework. It's there can be some even better times by doing none of that.
All right, so I applied to 2 scholarships before February 1st deadline. When will I know if there will be some money granted to me? Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. It's really a financial aid question. And that's pretty specific. I don't know what their timeline is.
Yeah, so it's going to depend on the selected scholarship. Each scholarship has a separate committee that goes through those scholarships. So it really depends on how many applicants and how quickly they can go through them. Typically, the whole month of February is used to go through those selected scholarships. So you should know early to mid-March.
Wasn't that pretty amazing? I could drink my water.
I know, your voice changed.
Sound like you.
And now you're speaking double. It's just, you're incredible.
It is amazing.
All right, will housing bills be separate from your tuition bills?
Housing bills will not be separate from tuition. You're going to get one bill from the bursar's office, which will have tuition, fees, room, board. Board is your meal plan. We also put parking citations on there, library fines, dormitory room damage charges, security deposits for the dorm, the health center tests.
There'll be a Manresa fee.
Be a Manresa fee for your first semester, and that's pretty much about it. There are some things. There is a certain window when you have this overpayment on your Bursar account. You have a certain amount of time to go into the bookstore on campus and buy your books using that credit balance to buy them. So the bookstore can take a look and they get only a small amount of information, but they know if you have a credit balance on your Bursar account or not, and they will allow you to charge your books onto the Bursar account. But other things you're going to have to pay for out of your pocket as you go, because some things don't get charged to the Bursar account.
All right, just to make sure on my acceptance letter that it states I have been granted $14,000 per academic year. Does this mean I get $7,000 each semester?
Read me that first part of the question one more time.
Just to make sure the acceptance letter states this correctly, I was granted $14,000 per academic year. Does that mean it is $7,000 each semester?
Yes, the answer is yes to that. So if you received an award which sounds almost like the Bushman Award or the Dean's Award or the Leadership Award, or there's some sort of fancy name out there for this $14,000, whatever you were granted, it's going to be $7,000 each semester.
All right, perfect. All right, when should acceptance students expect to receive their package, their financial aid package? Yeah, when should their students expect to see their financial aid package? I will also answer this one. So financial aid packages should be coming out in early March. So we haven't had an exact date yet, but look for it late February, early March.
That doesn't come from my office.
Oh, that comes from financial aid.
Office. Good questions, though.
They are. All right, how do you apply for a government student loan?
Government student loans are applied for through the FAFSA. Again, I think it's fafsa.ed.gov might be the website, but you could certainly Google FAFSA or type in federal free application for federal student aid. I said it earlier, I'm just going to remember it now. And that is where you're going to apply for any type of government money. Stafford loans, Pell Grants, I think SEOG, which is Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. Those things all are the result of you completing the FAFSA. My recommendation also in the FAFSA is, now that your folks have the W-2 from their employer, do the FAFSA now. Earlier is better, so that the financial aid office can take your request into consideration. If something significantly changes, then, and you have to go back in and make an adjustment on the FAFSA, I wouldn't really keep doing it every time that there is an adjustment. At some point in time, you got to stop. So I know for me, when I did three FAFSAs every year for 4 years, 12 FAFSAs that I completed, I would do it right after I got our W-2s from our employers, so around February 1st or 2nd. And then if I received other information that impacted the FAFSA, I would do one additional adjustment. Otherwise, I would pretty much stay out of it, because I thought I'd done a pretty good job going into it. Now, there is something at financial aid after filling out the FAFSA and the award package is put together, and you know how much you're going to get for your financial aid award. If somebody loses their job, or there's a death in the family, and that person provided income to the family, the financial aid office wants to know that. There's a special circumstance form that can be completed, and those things can be taken into consideration.
And just so you know, a good deadline to get the FAFSA in by is February 15th, because that is our priority deadline for financial aid packages. So sooner is always better.
Yeah.
And then when can payments be made directly to the school from a 529 plan?
Yes, 529 plans, we prefer having those payments come directly to us. All you do is contact your plan provider, and they will send a check to us. I can't think of one time in the years I've been in the Bursar's office that, and I've been at Xavier here now 9 years, I don't think a plan payment has ever come through the account holder to us. The plan usually sends it directly to the university. That's the way we want to have it. That's the way I think the IRS likes to have that paper trail.
All right, so this is the last question, unless people have some more. Is there a certain health care required to qualify, or is any form of health care doable?
Healthcare. I'm not quite sure if you're tying this into that mandatory health insurance premium that gets put on the fall semester bill. Then you have the ability to waive it. If that's what you're talking about, all they want really is information on your health insurance card. It might be a policy number, a group number, the name of the provider, whether it's Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, or Humana.
He said yes, by the way, so you're on the right track.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So you don't, in order to, I think what you're talking about is there anything that you have to do, like pre-existing conditions and things like that, in order for you to keep the insurance? Is that a yes as well? You can type that in. I don't think that there's anything that can disqualify you from that, because you're a student, and I believe Aetna Health Insurance will automatically give you that health insurance plan, assuming that you pay that premium. As I say, that'll be good for a year, August 15th to August 14th. And you only have to waive it during the fall semester one time. Unless you don't come in the fall and you come in the spring, you're going to get a charge in spring. You have to waive it then. But pay attention to the bill and you'll be able to see it. So I hope that helps. If you have questions about that, the health center is called the McGrath Health and Wellness Center. And you can always give them a call, or you can email them. Their phone number is 3022. It's 513-745-3022. Boy, I really hope that's the right. I think that is the right phone number, if you want to ask them about that. But
I don't know what this student or parent is getting at, but it says, I have health care. Can she use it? So.
Well, if you have healthcare, hopefully you already have your dependent, assuming your student is a dependent, you already have them on your healthcare plan. And if you do, then by golly, the first thing you want to do is, as soon as that waiver site opens up, you want to get online and waive the charge that's been put on your student's Bursar account, and it'll come off within 24 hours after that waiver is done. You'll get a confirmation number when you do it online. You want to save that confirmation number until you can see that the credit has been posted for that premium.
All right. Do more students use the monthly payment plan or the XFlex plan?
Well, the monthly payment plan and the XFlex are exactly the same. It's taking the balance and dividing it into 4. The other option is this payment in full plan. I would say that more people use the XFlex payment plan than the payment in full plan. I haven't looked at statistics recently. I know that a couple of years ago, let's see, if we have, well, you know what, it's probably closer to 50-50. I'm thinking about our entire total population, 6,500 students. And of undergraduates, those are about 4,000 roughly, 3,500.
Of undergrad? No,
Yes.
it's 45.
4,500?
Total, yeah, it's about 4,600 undergrad, total 7,000.
Really?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
We're getting bigger, man.
Okay, well, I live and work under a rock, okay? Nobody's told me this.
Sorry, no
But
one's
that's
perfect.
great news anyway. What'd you say?
I said no one's perfect. It's
I
okay.
know, that's got imperfection right here. Some of the last numbers I remember seeing were about 3,000 students signed up for the XFlex payment plan. So that's probably more than half of the undergraduate population.
All right. If students awarded merit scholarships decline to come to Xavier, how does the school redistribute this merit? That's more of a financial aid question than anything.
I think one of the things you talked about is doing the FAFSA early,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that there's only a certain amount of federal work study.
Yep.
And I think the early birds get the worm from
Yep.
what I've seen. I think merit scholarship is the same way. If somebody gets merit money and then they don't have then somebody decides not to come, the financial aid office will realize that that merit money isn't going to go to this student because they decided not to come here. They will redistribute it, but I don't know what their criteria is. I don't know what what parameters they use to give it to the next person on the list, so to speak. Again, I believe it's going to be based on financial need, and it's going to be based on information from the FAFSA. Hold on.
So make sure that you keep in touch with financial aid office, or you can reach out to me again, herbert.e@xavier.edu. It really depends on a case-by-case basis. And another reason that Henry mentioned that there's a special circumstance form, some of that money is reserved for any special circumstances or things that come down the line. All right, that looks like to be the last question. Any more questions before we start wrapping things up?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Do you out there in Muskie Chatland want to see Evan's socks? He has the most amazing socks of anybody I know, and tonight he has raccoon socks. So if you want to see his socks, all you got to do is type yes, show me the socks, and I can probably drag him up here. What are they saying?
One says yes, please. Another person raised their hand. Someone said yes, show the socks.
Okay, socks.
All right.
Socks.
Oh, now they're all raising their hands.
Good.
All right, I'm coming. Give me a second.
Come on.
Okay.
Look at these socks. These socks are most amazing.
Well, now you tell them the backstory. I feel like now they're just going to see my socks.
Forget the backstory. Just show them your socks. All right, go ahead.
All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Evan Herbert. I'm one of the I'm one of the admissions counselors here. So if I haven't met you, it's nice to kind of meet you, but hopefully we'll get to know each other a little better when you set foot on campus or come to visit. But one of the things I love doing is just buying fun, crazy socks. So if you ever do come to campus and you want to get me a gift, you can always get me a pair of fun, crazy socks. So these ones, I just happened to be going to the store and I saw them and I couldn't pass them up. So here they are.
It's a raccoon. I'm going to see what I can do with this. This is like virtual, this is like reality TV. Now that is an amazing sock. It's a raccoon on his sock.
There is no tail, so don't worry.
Yeah. Very funny. All those in favor of your socks say yay. Thank you, Evan.
Of course, my pleasure.
I tell you, you have never worn the same pair of socks twice.
I have never. A man after my own crazy heart. I love crazy socks. Good, Patrick. I can't wait to meet you. Please let me know or send me a picture of your favorite.
Maybe you
socks.
guys can trade socks. You know what I mean?
Can I see part of the presentation if we sign up for that? Yes. Yeah. This is. Hopefully you didn't just come in on this moment because this kind of got weird fast. But yes, you can. Well, the presentation is being recorded as we speak, and you can
tell me that.
Yep. Sorry. Surprise.
Great.
But it'll be on Road to Xavier. So as long as you log on to the Student Road to Xavier site, there should be a Muskie chat feature on one of the tabs, and you can log on and find it there. And Ryan said that you better get a rabies shot. So I will do that.
Ooh, good.
You know what would be even better is if you had like fox socks, so we can both have different socks. Someone else can get like elephant socks or something. Nice socks, very interesting. Good. I'm glad you guys approved of my socks. All right. Well, perfect. I'm glad that this is the perfect way to wrap them up. I hope all of you got the information you needed and had fun while doing it. I want to thank Henry very much for joining us tonight and providing us with his wisdom. For you guys who have any further questions, feel free to follow up with the Bursar office or with the admissions office. Again, you can email me anything, and hopefully we will see you on campus sometime soon.
Do you have my contact information up?
I do not.
We're going to get the contact information up. There's an email, which is just xubursar@xavier.edu, and the phone number is 513-745-3435. Yeah, let us know how we can help.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be.
And don't be afraid to stop by any of our offices when you're on campus. We'd love to see you, love to say hi, and love to answer any questions you have. So, all right.
Good deal.
All right. Well, thank you all, and have a great night. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for coming in.
Mm-hmm.